Hello, my friends. My name is Educator Katie, and I am here with a special guest, Miss Cathy Copeland, for the Billings Public Library Summer Reading Program. Today, we are talking about the driest habitats in the world, deserts. First, we're going to talk about what a desert is and where they are, and then we are going to meet some amazing animal ambassadors and talk about how they live in such harsh conditions. There are several kinds of deserts, including coastal, semi-arid, cold, and hot and dry. And one thing they all share in common is that they're very dry. They get very little precipitation. Most deserts get a few centimeters of rain or snow each year. Some that get the least amount are the Atacama Desert in Chile in South America, or the Sahara in Africa. Both of these deserts sometimes get as little as 1.5 centimeters, or just half an inch, of rain each year. And some years they can get no rain at all. There are deserts on every continent on Earth, and they cover up to 1/5 of the land area on Earth. From the sagebrush, semi-arid deserts right here in Montana, to the beautiful red rock deserts in Uluru, Australia. They carry an incredible amount of diversity of plant and animal species with extremely specialized tools for survival or adaptations. So, why are deserts important? Every ecosystem is important to its inhabitants and to the world all over. For example, the Sahara Desert in Africa gets wind coming through and picking up sand and dirt with essential vitamins and nutrients that get blown all the way across the ocean to the Amazon rainforest, giving them essential minerals. All right, now let's meet some animal ambassadors from deserts around the world. All right, my friends, this here is Taco, and Taco is a California king snake. These animals are carnivores, and they eat other animals like mice, other rodents, they eat other snakes, they eat lizards, basically just about anything they can catch. You might notice his tongue is slipping in and out a lot, and that's because he smells with his tongue. Snakes do have nostrils just like we do, but that tongue is how they get their smells. They only breathe with their nose instead of smelling with it. As you might guess from the name, California king snakes are typically found in California, and in particular, the desert areas of California. One of their best tools for survival, which are also called adaptations, are the fact that their body is covered in scales. These scales are made of keratin, which is the same material that we have in our hair and our fingernails. It's very strong, and it helps them keep water inside their body. Snakes don't sweat. Snakes also do not have eyelids. Instead, they have a clear scale that covers their eyes to protect them from wind and dirt. This means that you can never win a staring contest with a snake. They don't blink. This snake is mostly diurnal, or out in the daytime. And this is a very important adaptation for them, because they are cold-blooded. Cold-blooded does not mean that their blood is actually cold all the time. The scientific word for cold-blooded is ectothermic. This means that their blood temperature changes depending on the environment around them. We are endothermic, or warm-blooded animals. The food that we eat gives us energy to keep our blood at 98 degrees all the time. If it's hot outside or if it's cold outside, our blood stays at 98 degrees. But a cold-blooded animal, or an ectothermic animal, their blood temperature will rise if it's hot or go down if it's cold. And this is why they need to eat less food than we do, and also is a great adaptation for living in a desert. Because they cannot control their blood temperature, they do have to be careful not to get too hot or too cold. The deserts where Taco lives tend to be not too hot during the most of the year, which is why he can come out during the day. Another adaptation is how they act. They act like a rattlesnake. And that sounds kind of weird, because why would this animal act like that? Except most other animals know rattlesnakes are venomous, which means they have toxins in their teeth. So this snake, even though he doesn't look like a rattlesnake, he will take his little tail and rattle it against grass or rocks to try to sound like a rattlesnake. They will also hiss very loudly and try to imitate the rattlesnake. All of this to help protect themselves against their predators. These animals are very important, both to their own habitats and to humans, because they are predators of animals that we humans consider to be pests, including things like mice. Their primary threat is habitat loss and fragmentation, or when those habitats get broken up, but also the pet trade. Humans who like snakes tend to like these snakes as pets, but if we continually take them from the wild, we can damage wild populations. This is Steve, and Steve is a leopard gecko. Leopard geckos eat mostly animals like crickets and beetles, and they live in the deserts of countries like Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and even into northern India. Her tools for survival, or those adaptations, include claws on her feet to help run across the rocky deserts. She also has eyelids, unlike many other gecko species. These eyelids help protect her eyes from wind and dirt and sand as she's living in a desert environment. Unlike Taco the king snake, Stevie the leopard gecko is a nocturnal animal, which means she comes out mostly at night, because the deserts that she lives in are way too hot for her to come out during most days. Like Taco, she is a cold-blooded animal, which means she can't control her body temperature. And she would get much too hot during the day if she came out. One of her best tools is this tail here. This tail holds fat for her, and this is very important because in a desert, there's not a lot of food and not a lot of water. So if she goes a long time without food or water, she can reabsorb the fat in her tail into her body to help feed herself and hydrate herself until she can find those food and water again. Leopard geckos rely on deserts for both their food and their habitat. Their adaptations and their tools are meant for those environments. Much like Taco the king snake, the pet trade definitely affects these wild populations of geckos. The last animal we're going to talk about today is Jack, the Savannah Monitor. He has been here at the zoo for his whole life, and he was born in 2018. Savannah monitors are carnivores. They eat other animals like small mammals, like rodents or mice. They also eat lizards, birds, snakes, toads, and snails, which are their favorite. Their natural habitat are the savannas, or grasslands, that are south of the Sahara Desert in Central Africa. Some of the tools they use to survive in those grasslands near the deserts include their sharp scales on their feet for running across sand, grasses, and rocks. They have strong scales to protect their skin. They also are ground-dwelling animals, and they are diurnal, or they come out during the daytime. Like snakes, they use their tongue to smell, and it's a very excellent sense of smell. These lizards have the ability to dislocate the bone that supports their tongue, so they can enlarge their throat and swallow their prey whole. One of their other tools for living in these environments is that their feeding habits change depending on the season. In the wet seasons, they will feast and eat as much as they can to build up fat storage. And then in the dry seasons, they will fast and live off of those fat storages and not have to find near as much food. Pet trade and habitat loss are a big impact on these animal species in the wild. Deserts also have a surprisingly incredible amount of biodiversity, or the type and amount of organisms that live in a certain habitat. And many are endangered as climate change impacts habitats around the world. We can all do our part simply by learning more and telling other people. We can also reduce our usage of single-use plastics. And supporting organizations that are transparent about their environmental impacts. We are all very much a part of this world, and we can make a difference too. Thank you so much for joining us virtually today while we learned about desert habitats and lizards and snakes from around the world. For the Billings Public Library's summer reading program. Your event code for today's video is Lizard Jack. One word at the bottom of your screen. Don't forget to upload that for the points for this video. And we'll see you next time. Bye, friends!